Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today we are reviewing the Book of Boba Fett on Disney+. In the great words of our leader, forgive me, because I haven't showered yet. I literally woke up, put this on, wrote down my notes, sorted out the computer to be ready to film it, and we are literally here. I have not showered, so please excuse the fact that I look like shit today. So the Book of Boba Fett literally picks up from where we last saw Boba Fett. He is now the daimyo of Mos Espa after killing Bib Fortuna. I love speaking in Star Wars language. There's so many people who are not going to have a clue what I just said, and there's going to be another bunch that made perfect sense to. For those of you who aren't familiar with Star Wars, essentially he's become the new underground crime boss of a fictional place, if that makes it any clearer for you. And he got the job by killing quite a famous original character. And the Book of Boba Fett essentially sees Boba Fett take on that role as a daimyo, but he's going to try and lead by respect rather than fear, which is what his predecessors did. But before we go any further, could you be a dear? Hit that like button and hit that subscribe button. It really does help me and the channel massively. And we thank you if you do. I genuinely forgot that bit there, wow. So here's my problem with the Book of Boba Fett. I love Boba Fett. Ta-da! Double ta-da, I painted this in my own time. It's not my finest piece of work, but I like it enough to have it on display. So it's fair to say that I am going to have a high bar and be quite hypercritical of this show, because you are taking one of my favourite characters, and I've been so excited over the years. This is what I've wanted. Boba Fett is a good character that just hasn't really been given the depth. A lot of him remains shrouded in mystery. But we do know that he is a bounty hunter. We do know that he's a bad guy. We do know that his father, Jango Fett, was also a bounty hunter. And he's sort of, he's been streamlined to be a bad guy. His whole life really has led to him doing the job that he's doing today. And I was excited to see this potentially quite complicated, moralistic character be explored and try to understand him. I thought he fit the Western genre perfectly, being that sort of cold, quiet, cool killer. But the show just doesn't do that with Boba Fett. And that took a lot of readjustment for me to get used to. And I, to be honest with you, I don't even know if I have fully readjusted to it. I still don't love it. Prior to Boba Fett coming back into our lives, he was a bad guy working for the Empire and Darth Vader, and he was thrown into a Sarlacc pit by Luke Skywalker. And yet it seems that he has no grudge to bear against Luke Skywalker for that or the rebellion at all. He's just sort of forgiven them after having to fight his way out of a Sarlacc pit. I don't know. It seems like he's knocked his head and suddenly he's a good guy. I don't get it. I don't like it. I think it makes the character so boring and predictable when he shouldn't be boring or predictable. And the truth of the matter is it's Disney, isn't it? It's nothing to do with the writing team. It's that this has to be child friendly. This has to be family safe. And that's just annoying. It's just flat out annoying when that isn't what Boba Fett is. Boba Fett is not a safe character. Boba Fett is not a nice guy. Boba Fett is not someone you should leave your children with. But because it's on Disney Plus, now he's the best babysitter you can find in the galaxy. And to put it into context as to just how bad a guy Boba Fett actually was, when he was called in the Empire Strikes Back, I believe, with the likes of Bosk and IG-88, first of all, he's been brought in with these guys because he is deemed to be one of the nastiest and best bounty hunters in the galaxy. I mean, you're gonna be doing some pretty nasty stuff to get that reputation. And what I find more intricately delivered and more interesting is that Boba Fett is the only one that Darth Vader gives direct instruction to. Everyone else, he does it very sort of like speaking to the room. But Boba Fett, Darth Vader will go up to him in a corner and say, look, this is the deal. Like Darth fucking Vader trusts Boba Fett to get the job done. Like, that's how nasty and bad this guy is. I really am struggling to just sort of be like, yeah, he's a good guy now. It just doesn't, it's not what I wanted and it doesn't make sense. I also found the constant change of hands in director for this show to just make the tone consistently clash. I never thought any two episodes seemed to just go together back to back. It was like, this one's a Western, this one's a light-hearted comedy, this one's a Power Rangers episode, apparently. It's jarring and it's weird, and I don't mean to have a go at any one person specifically, but in my experience, a lot of these problems were coming from Robert Rodriguez. Robert Rodriguez seems to be under the impression that Alita Battle Angel and Star Wars are the same thing, and you can just blur those lines, and you can't. It doesn't work. It doesn't feel like Star Wars. It feels like I'm watching some sort of brand new, unknown territory of some sort of Disney cyberpunk show. It's weird. It doesn't work. I don't want it. Sorry if I sound like a really protective, prissy Star Wars fan, but I am. I love this stuff, and that's how being a Star Wars fan works. You can't love it without hating it. And there were aspects of this show that I hated. I don't ever want to see those fucking mopeds ever again. Like, no. Just no. They were beyond stupid, they were beyond childish, the design is dog shit, the chase is awful, they're not even quick. So in this galaxy, they had speeders, very quick and efficient vehicles, and they decided, let's actively degenerate our technology into something less than what we already have, which is a moped. What are we doing? Like, just bin them off. I hated them so much, I was happy when I saw them crashing and getting destroyed. That's how much I hated the mopeds. I never want to see them ever again. But then the show really does pick up. Episodes 4, 5, 6, 7 had me absolutely hooked. It really was those first 3 episodes where I was just like, this is a tonal mess and I have no idea where this is going, and frankly, I don't really care. But episode 4, 5, 6, 7, they really started to string together. It felt like it had a story. It felt like it had pace. It felt like it knew what it was doing suddenly. And everything just fell into place. And it all just kicked off. It just went like from first gear to second gear to third gear, fourth, and we just flew. And what's funny about that is it all seemed to hinge around the return of Mando and Grogu, which on one hand is fantastic because that is the story I am more invested in and that I do want to know more about. But the show is called The Book of Boba Fett. And when we actually take the plot of this show, now that it's finished and we go start to end, it just isn't Boba Fett's story. It just straight up isn't. It's just not. Boba Fett's doing something, but it's not his story. None of the character arc, none of the progression, none of the universal changes come from Boba Fett's presence here. It all comes from Mando and Grogu. And that's weird. That's very, very weird. I almost get the impression that they gave this show a green light before they even really knew what they were going to do with it. And that's why it's become this hodgepodge mess of, oh God, have we even achieved anything, or are we just wasting our time? Like, what is the actual end goal here? What's the achievement? I feel like this could have all been avoided had this just been called The Mandalorian Season 3 and we just swapped them over. We actually just focus on the Mandalorian story that we get here, and we sometimes go and visit Boba Fett and see what Boba Fett's up to. Boba Fett should be the filler, not the Mandalorian. And it wasn't all bad, but I do have to step into spoilers a little bit to discuss what I really loved about the Book of Boba Fett. So this is your warning. If you are not up to date with the Book of Boba Fett, maybe just pause this video here and come back when you're all up to date. The episode where Grogu is being trained by Luke was everything I needed and more, and I didn't even know I wanted it. This is personal, but the original scene of, when Luke is training with Yoda on his back, that scene's really special to me because when I used to work for my dad, he always used to use that as a reference point. Like, he was the Yoda on my back. He was the old wise man that's annoying, and he's being annoying for good reason. And I was the young, rash Luke who's getting frustrated with the old man on my back. And that's always been special. I've kind of always seen mine and my dad's relationship to be that. I am Luke, he is Yoda. And I can't lie, I did have an emotional connection seeing that torch being passed on, seeing Luke now carrying baby Yoda, Grogu. It just hit me. It was so sweet. It's easily one of my newer favourite Star Wars moments, that's for sure. And the other part that I really loved, Cad fucking Bane. Wow. I remember his arrival. I was sat right there on that armchair. And I genuinely had a chill when I saw the hat. It was the hat that made me go, hold on. Because I didn't see the skin colour, so I didn't know. I didn't know he was going to be blue. I didn't see the red eyes. I didn't hear a voice. I just saw the hat. And the hat alone put a chill on my neck to make me think, is it? And as he got closer, And as we saw a bit of blue, and as we heard that voice, the chills just got stronger and stronger. And I just crept further and further towards the edge of my seat, and I was sat at my TV just saying, no fucking way.
Boba Fett is a cold-blooded killer who worked with the Empire.
Cad Bane is one of my all-time favourite Star Wars characters. I do seem to prefer villains, generally speaking, but in Star Wars it's almost exclusively. I find the villains so much more interesting, they're so much more complicated, they seem to have much deeper psychology at play. They're like bottomless pools to dive into, you just discover so much about them. Cad Bane is one of them. He is so complicated. He's a bad motherfucker to start with, but secondly, he is scum. His moral compass is lower than snake shit, but he does have a moral compass. Like, he does have standards. If you're gonna kill someone, you kill them eye to eye. You look that man in the eye when you take his life. That's what Cad Bane's like. He doesn't have the problem with the murder. He has the problem with murdering someone when they're not aware of it. That's bizarre, but I love it. And also for some of you who, you're just like, Cad Bane, who the fuck is Cad Bane? Give you some context as to what a badass Cad Bane is. Cad Bane held off was it two or three? It's been a while since I watched it, but he held off, I think, 2 or 3 Jedis doing a mind trick on him to tell them the truth. I believe it was Mace Windu, Obi-Wan, and if there was somebody else, I can't remember who it was, but they're no jokes. They're good, strong, experienced Jedis. Cad Bane is not force sensitive. He held those 2 off from invading his mind. That's scary. That's frightening. And even more so, this is one of my favourite scenes of Cad Bane's. He single-handedly fought Obi-Wan Kenobi and Quinlan Vos, and this was a prime Obi-Wan Kenobi. This isn't like baby Obi-Wan who's still learning. Like, no, he's got the beard in and everything. He's Ewan McGregor Obi-Wan. And you could quite easily argue that he beat them because he disarmed Quinlan Vos and even used Quinlan Vos's lightsaber against Obi-Wan Kenobi. And then he defeated Obi-Wan Kenobi by electrocuting him, and he got away. He took on 2 very powerful Jedis and walked away without a scratch. You don't fuck with Cad Bane.
If you're gonna kill him, do it like a man.
So as you can imagine, I was just on fire when I saw him arrive. I was so excited. I thought the performance was fantastic, the makeup was fantastic, the voice was spot on. I loved every scene Cad Bane was in. And I hope he's not gone. I hope we get to see more of him. So for me, the Book of Boba Fett was a real mixed bag. But if you are a Star Wars fan, if you have thoroughly enjoyed The Mandalorian, then yes, this is worth the time and effort. You do kind of need to follow this, especially if you're really deeply invested in The Mandalorian. But does it have rewatch value? Not up until, I'd say, like, if I was to rewatch it, I'd rewatch it from episode 4, 5, 6, and 7. I just watched those 4. I wouldn't bother with those first 3. I don't see the point to them. Episode 2 was fun. I think that's the one where they hijack a train. And I enjoyed that we got some insight into the Tusken Raiders. But when we look at it from afar, finished product, it's a little bit weightless. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't have the lasting impact that the rest of it does. So I'm going to give The Book of Boba Fett a 7 out of 10. Ultimately, I like the finished product, but I think it's a bit of a damn mess as to how they get to it. Thank you for watching this review. Please be sure to hit that like button and hit that subscribe button. And please be sure to hit the comment section as well. What did you think of the Book of Boba Fett? Are you excited to see more of Boba Fett, or do you want it to sort of just stop here and continue with The Mandalorian? Let me know in the comment section below. Take care, and I look forward to seeing you on the next review.